Okay, so as I promised in my previous video where we talk about Redux Toolkit. So in my Redux Toolkit video, you have seen that, I will give you the reference to the link of the video that I created on Redux Toolkit. What are its benefits, why we have to use Redux Toolkit and things like that. You all can watch that video, which is very important and preliminary video before you come here. As part of this video, I will give you the real demonstration in when it comes to the code walkthrough, and we'll see in live how those Redux Toolkit and Redux Standard uh, can be used together to achieve the same purpose. But at the same time, we will also understand the advantages of Redux Toolkit, which it is giving out of the box. So you can see here I have two projects, Redux Standard and Redux Toolkit. Let me quickly go and see what is inside. So over here, see, I followed the same practice which everyone follows, I guess. So whenever we're using Redux Standard, we know that we have to create actions, we have to create action types, and we have to create, of course, this components is always there. Then we have to add reducers. So number of pages, you can imagine how many reducers you have to create. Then we have to define the store and all that, right? So let me quickly go and see what we have. So rather, let's start go from here. So app.js is calling one component, which is a counter component, and it's a very basic component which have some HTML for. So what is that HTML? So you see here we have counter header, and then we have, when we click on counter, there are two things, so minus and plus, so which dispatching decrement and increment. Then we have an input box where we do some manual, we write something into this box, and then we have increment amount value which we are rendering, and then we have this method which is called the moment when we are writing anything into the input box. When it comes to the button, I think it is very important for you to understand that button here, we call that increment by amount. Okay, so this increment by amount is where we can pass any number, and that number can be used as in order to have this amount number directly added to the counter. Then we have fetch random number. So this fetch random number is again something which will give you a random number and will update your one. And this is where we handle the states, right? So loading and failed state. So this is all which we have in terms of HTML. This is a very plain, simple HTML. I just used very basic CSS here, text line center, margin top 50px, so that this UI looks good. So yeah, so and if you see here, this is all the traditional way. So for example, let's say you want to read something from state, and let's say it's count. So you can see here count like state dot value, because we are maintaining only one reducer here, so that's why we're reading directly from state dot value, which should maintain the count. And then with state dot status, which should maintain the status. When you have multiple reducers, there you can get the value from specific reducers like state dot counter dot value, that counter dot status, and something like that, right? Then in order to dispatch, we are calling use dispatch hook here, and then you see here wherever we want to execute any action, we just call the use dispatch. And this is use state, which we are using in order to maintain this increment amount, this value. And that's pretty much all. I think this is very simple counter example. uh, Now, in order to backfill all this state and all that, we must have our state into Redux. So if you see here Redux, so I have my Redux here, and this is again because I'm talking about standard Redux. So you see here this Redux create store has been deprecated already. Yes, this is true, and one must also understand that this is deprecated because Redux community, they don't want us to use create store of Redux. They want us to move to Redux Toolkit, right? Because of its benefits. So because I just wanted this demonstration for an understanding, so I just use this create store, and very traditional way we have this counter reducer, which is pointing to counter reducer, and then this is, everyone knows apply middleware what Thunk is using this time. It can be Saga, it can be anything that you want in your as part of your middleware. All right, so counter reducers. Let's go to counter reducers. So we have reducer here, which is counter reducer. again, this is also very standard way. You see here how we do. We have action type increment, decrement, increment by amount, fetch, random, pending, success, and all these action types are there. And you have to handle all these actions, one by one manually in the code. And you see here the status is handled. So a lot of code here you see, right? And all these actions, action types, you're importing it from counter action types. This is where you have to maintain a lot of counters, I mean constants. So you see this, and then we have to have action create. So these are all action creators which we have created for our methods. In order to have an API call, I also added something called fetch random number. So let's say this is an asynchronous call. So for a demonstration purpose, I used promise here. So new promise, and this promise will be resolved after 1000 milliseconds. So giving a simulation of an API call. And after 1 milliseconds, it will resolve, return you this number, which is this, and every time it will add one. So this is a simulation. So I use a very simple method for fetching the data. And you see here, we are dispatching this pending, then we are dispatching this success, and then error and the catch block. So we all have to dispatch all these things manually. We have to maintain all these constant in some other file, which is constant action types. We have to define action creators. A lot of things we have to do. All these things, they can be done easily out of the box in Redux Toolkit. And that's what Redux community want to explain. Okay, they would like to emphasize on Redux Toolkit is really helpful when you want to reduce your boilerplate code, when you want to improve the productivity by focusing on the business logic rather than repeating all these reducers, count, actions, action creators, handling all this, and a lot of other things, right? uh, Reducers also, you see here, we are updating the state, right? So updating the state is also something which is not very clean, because most of the time I see developers, they do commit mistakes of mutating the state object, which is not good. You have to always maintain the immutability concept. So Redux Toolkit, as I said in my previous session video, that it is giving you the immutability out of the box as part of immer library. So we should not worry about if we broke some state, we mutated the original state of the Redux. All right. So yeah, I think I have shared and discussed with all of the important things. It's very simple. Again, let me reiterate. These are action creators. This one is Redux Thunk because we want to make an API call. And this is a very simple, straightforward Thunk code. And those who have not worked on Thunk, I will definitely create a video where rather than making a fetch or Axios API call, you can have your Thunk to do or to segregate that part of work. So previously, we used to write every single logic of making an API call within the component, but to segregate it, we have different libraries. So Thunk is one, Saga is one. So that's where we have this. But yeah, this is a Thunk code where still we have to write and dispatch all those actions for the lifecycle methods. Okay. This is a component counter. I discussed it. And yeah, this is app where we are importing the counter.js. And that's pretty much all. We are maintaining everything into this, like store is passed. So, yeah, so let me quickly close this. I'm not going to run right now and see the corresponding version of this project in Redux Toolkit. So Redux Toolkit, what is there? So let's me start with the app.js. See, everything is same. We are using counter. Let me go and check. This counter component is still same. No changes in the counter component. You see, state.counter.value, state.counter.status, everything is same. It is not changed. Now, you see how many folders here? Action types, actions, then reducers. Okay. Now, how many folders here? There is app and features and component, only 3 folders. And what we are doing in features, what we have writing, we are writing one single code for managing mostly all the Redux related thing out of the box. Okay, so count the slice. If you have seen or gone through my previous video, you should know that Redux Toolkit, it provides create slice and create async thun, these two methods. So create slice is something which is very important because we talk about slices here. Okay, so Redux Toolkit is all about slices. So when we create a slice, we have to follow some convention here, which is very like name of the slice, initial state, which we want to give, like we want to give value and status idle, and then reducers will take care of the things which are asynchronous, where there is no life cycle event is required. Extra reducers will take care of the thing where there is an asynchronous action is involved. And for the asynchronous part, what we are doing here, you see, fetch random number, create async thunk. Okay, so let me quickly open the reducer. This. So we are making an API call, which is yes over here. So let me close others. This is one and this is two. So you see this method and you see this method. All right. So you understand yourself that fetch random number is much simpler. It is doing all these things like fetch random number, pending, success, error, all by itself, right? So, and we have to do it manually here and we have to maintain all these constants. So this is doing all out of the box. So fetch random number, dot pending. I would say more you do some coding, the more confident you get while using this. So this pending, fulfilled, rejected is coming out of the box. You don't need to worry about. Just need to play around with status. And status is also because we are using build to pattern here. It is making sure that state is immutable. I mean, we are not breaking the immutability here. Um, and this is how it works, right? And at the last, we see we are just exporting increment, decrement, increment by amount, uh, which is uh, which is this method. And then as part of the fetch this thunk, create async thunk. Okay, this which where whenever we call this create async thunk, it will automatically handle the states like this, and everything will be visible. So let me quickly switch because counter is same and store. So store is here. So if you see here, we are using configure store from Redux Toolkit. And over here, when we see the store, it's create store. Okay, and that is the difference. So this there is no warning, there is no deprecation visible here. So you have counter, which has been given to counter reducers. And then over here in the counter.js, you see we have given a name to the reducers. Okay, state.counter. I mean, this is of course the good way. You should definitely give this name to the reducers, and then gives you more when you have multiple reducers. So over here if you see, so store dot reducer, we're directly giving this counter reducer. So that's why when you see here in this component counter.js, you directly read it the value of that single reducer. But when we have multiple reducers, we always have to follow this strategy, right? So yeah, this is pretty much all when it comes to the differences. When it comes to the differences, I will quickly show you the libraries in both. So over here, if you see, we are using Redux, React Redux, and then Redux Toolkit. All right, and as part of the normal, if you see here, we are using React Redux, and we are using um, Redux. So that's where it makes difference. So there is no React Redux use, it is using Redux Toolkit. Okay, too much we have talked. Now it's time to run the code and see in real. So let me go to Redux Standard. This is one terminal, and let me quickly go to Redux Toolkit. This is other terminal. Okay, so because I have already, I will run npmi so that everything is all installed. Uh, okay. Okay. So now I will write npm run start. Okay. So this is one. And let me run this npm run start because there is a port collision. So yeah. So now you see both the applications, okay, are running. This one is running on 3001 port and this one is running on 3000 port. So these are the two. One is standard and the other one is Redux Toolkit. Both are exactly same, right? And both are working. See, this is loading. You see 50 here. If you add So it will add 30 to this and then random number. So it's all doing all good. So that's pretty much all. If you have any questions related to Redux or Redux Toolkit, please post those questions into the comment section. As I promised, I will definitely share some of my VS Code plugins, which are very important, so that whenever you create those components, it will be very fast for you to develop the code. And also some of the artificial intelligence benefits that we can get out of the box with the latest plugins, I'll definitely share and give the link in the description of this video. And for the next session, I'm planning to have one of the important feature which is coming out of the box in Redux Toolkit is Redux Toolkit queries, how important they are and how they can, what benefits they can add to your application where there are multiple API calls. So Redux Toolkit queries is something where you can create API queries for your Redux application, which is using Redux Toolkit. Very interesting topic. Okay. So what I want to say, whatever you are doing in Redux uh, Toolkit, which is right here, okay, you can also uh, optimize this by using Redux Toolkit query when you have multiple API calls. Okay. So many API calls, because this is very important. Like you might need to have a caching solution in place. You might need to have optimization in making HTTP calls. Redundant calls should always be avoided. So all these things are coming out of the box in Redux Toolkit API queries. I will definitely share this video next about what is Redux Toolkit queries and how we can use and get the benefits in our Redux applications, React applications, which is using Redux. Thank you very much, and I see you in another video.